it's unfortunate this, but I see a ton of stuff where they make things up. It's seldom, it doesn't happen all the time, but you'll have these really nefarious marketers that go out there and they're offering a product and service, and when they're doing a value stack, they're making things up. They lie. They just flat out lie, and those type of misrepresentations, what that does, it just tarnishes the entire industry. Everybody who's trying to offer some sort of information product or education product, they just go after it.
All right, today, value stacks. Ooh, this package is worth $42,598. Yours today for just one payment of $497. I'm not going to lie. I've said something similar to that like a gazillion times and have never once looked from the outside and thought, God, how ridiculous does that sound? Until, of course, it's always funny because I tell Greg this. I'll say something in marketing, and then he'll say it back. And I'm like, why does it sound so horrible when you say it, not when I say it? Because he'll, like, accentuate certain words. So here's how he'll say.
He'll say, like my wife when you say that. Like, it's so horrible, right?
Well, because you'll be like, oh, and this package is worth $48,000, and today yours only for one payment of $497. And I'm like, well,
today only you can get this one-time offer.
But wait, there's more. All right, so this was like soul crushing because it's such a big part of how a marketer pitches. So we're going to talk about this today. We're going to talk about the rules, and we're going to give you hopefully some ways to still build value. But for the most part, I'm pretty sure a lot of what we're doing is not allowed. Sorry, I'm laughing just because I feel your pain, guys, when you're listening. Okay, Greg, so this falls under misrepresentation, which is in the book. Don't say that. By the way, hint, hint, we just launched a free assessment service. That's right. If you do over $500,000 a year in revenue and you're like, hey, is my marketing okay? We'll give you a kind of a high-level check for free and then talk to you about our audit services if and in case that's of interest to you. See how I just did that? That's the compliant way of doing it. I offered you something for free but told you what the catch is, so I'm not misleading you. Score. All right, the link is below. And if you're listening to a podcast on an audio, go to don'tsay.com/free. I don't know. I can't think of a URL off the top of my head. But we just launched this, so we're going to be giving it a shot. So, and then, of course, don'tsaythat.com for the other episodes and for the book. Misrepresentation. Is that right, Greg? Is that the problem with the value stack bonus?
That's part of it. I mean, you could make it worse. You could have said, hey, you can get this valuation that we normally charge $40,000 for, but today, if you meet these criteria, we'll do it for you for free. And the fact is, we've never charged $40,000 for it before.
The one I hear more commonly, though, at least for me, is that this package is worth XYZ. Today, yours for just, right? So, I mean, yeah. So,
question: How much would you pay for this? Oh, I would pay, I don't know, $10,000. Well, this package.
Well, what specific clause? Now, for full disclosure, everybody. In my, if you read the complaint letter that was against me, in my case, there is a part where they quote that, and I wouldn't say that my whole case was about it, but they went out of their way to be like, quote, value this much. So they see it, they don't like it, they make a mention of it. What rule is it breaking? What does it classify under?
What are the rules they're breaking?
No. Is it like I said earlier? I think it breaks the misrepresentation. You're misrepresenting. Is that what it is, or is there another specific term?
No, 100%. It's Section 5 of the FTC Act. So basically, what they're saying is, that your advertisement must not be false or misleading or create the wrong net impression. If you see something that's on there and it says you get a product that's valued at $10,000, but then it gets down to you can buy it today only for $9.95 or $99, whatever it is. They're going to say, listen, you're inflating what the value of that product is. You've never sold it for $10,000. You just sat in the room and came up with that number. So darn well that $100 product is worth probably $100, but it makes it seem like there's all this value. Now I get it. I know where everybody listening is going to. I've been to the department store, I've gone to the furniture store, and I know darn well that they're overmarking the products so that they can say that it's for less, right? But in most cases, unless it's a hack, I know you were talking about like that guy that goes around and does YouTube videos and hacks. But unless it's like a hack, it is most of the time they've sold that product for that amount. They're just now discounting. Versus way more scrutiny in this field than in the retail space, just so you know, unfortunately, that's just the way it is. And under that more scrutiny, you just can't rely on, well, they do it, it should be okay. Because the
Well,
products and services you're offering are different.
but Greg, to that degree, like I don't go to the furniture store and see a furniture like a couch that's original MSRP $42,000 today for 400.
No,
It
never.
might be,
Never.
and that's what we're doing. So maybe that's the increased scrutiny right there, because the
Right.
couch might say originally $1,500 today for 500, which is still crazy, but it's within realm. So how? Okay, so someone's going through, right, and they're value stacking, and
And they're
it
not
does
offering
help.
a back-end product for $10,000 after you buy the $99
Yeah,
reduced amount. I mean, there's a lot
yeah,
of reasons why it's more scrutiny. Sorry, go
got
ahead.
it. So it does help conversions. It gives someone a visual or a value assigned to it. And it does impact when you can't say anything. So, what are some ways that someone could assign values to the things that they're adding into the package?
Well, I mean, there's a couple of things that are legitimate, and I have a really good client in Florida, and if he's watching or listening to the podcast, he'll know who it is. But he'll go through and he'll have a product that he does charge, whatever, $4,000 or $5,000 for, and it runs its life. And then he'll bring it back and he'll be like, listen, I've sold this product for $5,000, but if you buy into this, we'll give you the new product plus that old product for $100 or whatever it is. So that's one way. I'm not saying that's the exclusive way that you can do it, but that's one way. Another way is you can have discounts. Like I have another client that what they do is they have a standard amount price that they charge every day for the product and service, but they love to do, discounts on holidays and just for special events. And so periodically throughout the year, they'll say, hey, and we're coming up on Valentine's Day, for example, and they'll be like, hey, our Valentine's Day giveaway now here's you get this out for 30% off. And so it drives attention and traffic. So that's okay because it's legitimate. They've sold it for that amount. They're discounting it based upon, what you would see for a Labor Day sale or, a Memorial Day sale retail wise. They're saying the same thing. That's okay.
Okay.
Now, if you've never sold the product before, but you've had a lifetime, you're like, hey, we've sold similar products to this, not the same, but you've had a product offering that you've consistently sold for $4,000. And it's not the exact same product, but you disclose that, hey, we've sold similar type products that provide the same, and it should be apples to apples, not like, I think you and I talked on another podcast about selling a product where it was like done with you.
Coaching, and then
Yeah,
done
just
with
by
you, and
yourself.
then just
So it
yeah.
is similar. So they get a similar type. So it's a done with you course you've sold for 4,000 and they're doing a do with you, whatever, offer for $99. You could say generally these type of courses we've sold for this amount. But today you can sign up for this and you get the same type of service. Now, I don't
Hmm.
know if you could get away with that financially to do the same type of things, but if I'm just giving you an example, it's a course that's similar to what you're offering now, where you've sold it for more and you disclose it. And so they understand that you haven't sold this for that amount, but if it's transparent, it's true. Where the misrepresentation comes is where you just sit around in a group think you and your buddies that run the company and you're like, I don't know, let's put a $10,000 price point on it. There's no justification. There's no, rational thought that goes behind it. It's just selecting a number because it looks fantastic, and then
Yeah.
you decrease it down to a small number.
So we have a specific case where I did this, and the results were awesome. So I want to share this with everybody. So I had a course I was launching, and I've never sold it before. It's brand new, and the course was being sold for $97, and I wanted to give it a value. I wanted to show people that it is truly a value, like it's worth a lot more. But I've never sold it before, so I can't be like this is worth $300 or whatever. And I don't want to do anything ridiculous. I want to go like $40,000 to $100. I wanted to be able to say it's $300. And Greg asked me a question, so I know I can't. So I called him. I said, "What do I do?" He says, "Well, have you sold similar courses for 300 or more?" I was like, "Actually, I've sold similar courses for 600." So the course I was selling was about copywriting. It was about how to write a webinar. And I have sold copywriting courses for $600-$700 many times. And I've sold copywriting programs for $300. And I really felt that the amount of training I did in this one was easily comparable to the one I had sold at 300. And I had sold lots of that $300 one, hundreds of units of the $300 product. So I was like, yeah, actually, I really feel good about this. It was a similar course. So he's like, great. Instead of saying valued at, put similar courses sold at. And I'm like, and to me, I've gone like, oh, looks weird. So many more words. But I'm like, all right. So I did it and I wrote the page. And when the page first came back from design, I'm scanning through it. I realized something at the end. I'm like, wait a minute. I didn't even realize. Where is that? Did he put that? Oh, there it is. And it was so crazy because similar courses sold at $297 cross off. This course price, $97. It completely had the same impact in my mind. So I was like, huh. So I sent it to a marketing buddy of mine. And I said, hey, look at this page. Can you see anything on it that looks different? Something worth calling out? He writes me back 10 minutes later on text. He's like, I don't know what you want me to look for. I mean, it looks like
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, looks like a normal sales page. And I was like, did you notice I didn't put valued at? And he comes back, he's like, holy crap. I didn't even notice. He's like, what is this? And he knows about you. So he's like, is this a Greg thing? I'm like, yeah, it's a Greg thing. Like this, like this was. And so he was excited because he was like, dude, this is great because legitimately, if we can make the case, right, and substantiate it, it gave me some flexibility, but it wasn't misleading because I didn't say this course is valued at. It's a similar course is sold at. Here's a question for you. So let's say one of the common bonuses, Greg, in a program is to offer, let's say, a weekly group call with me,
Okay.
right, for the next year. And I genuinely do. If someone wants to book an hour with me, it's almost always $1,000 to $2,000. But typically, I don't even sell hourly, so it's usually like $25,000 for the day. So you can see where I'm going with this. We could backtrack, and we could plug and chug, and come up with some ridiculous value because you get an hour with me every week for the next year. Albeit it's in group setting, it's not one-on-one. How would you even be able to, or how would you go about valuing that? Or is there a way?
Well, I think you don't have to be specific, but it's substantiation, right? We go back to making claims. You're making a claim, right? And we would want to make sure before we made the claim that we could support it. But you could say something like, hey, these live presentations, I generally charge thousands of dollars for. Now you charge way more than that, right? You just said $25,000. So we have the documentation to show that for a day, you've sold, I don't know, dozens and dozens of those days for $25,000, right? So we've got the documentation to show that you've got the contracts and the payments and everything in place. So now you're making a statement that, hey, a live event like this, generally I would charge thousands of dollars for. You got the documentation to show that that's a true statement versus, giving your time away always for free. You're always doing free consultations. You're never charging for it. And then it's a lot, right?
But you wouldn't be able to come up with a specific value then for this like 1 year.
That's why I didn't say, if you notice, I didn't pinpoint and say it's got a value for this.
Yeah.
Generally, I charge a significant amount of money for this.
Yeah. So everyone, it would be difficult. So it'd be difficult to kind of add up the number at the end and say, this package is worth $42,000.
Right.
But independently, as you speak about each bonus, you can give it a high value. You might have to keep it non-specific, but I think it would be just as powerful if I'm like, hey, you guys, when you're in this program, you get 1 hour with me in a group setting. There's usually about 100 people per call, but typically you get a lot of personal attention from me. And just so you know, my quote to get personal attention from me is $25,000 for a day. It's usually about 8 hours. So I'm not saying that this is the same, but I'm saying that this time with me, you get 52 weeks, 52 hours with me in a small, intimate setting. This would be worth thousands of dollars because of what I'm actually charging. And I feel like if I did that on a webinar, like that would still give that bonus a high value. And I even justified it on the webinar as to how I got to the number. So God forbid a regulator was watching it, at least they'd understand, okay, the guy seems to have some substantiation behind why he said what he said. And of course, I have to be able to prove that that's my charge, right? So
you're making a claim, so it's easier not to make the claim. And for you marketers who are listening to this, you're like, I got this. I can still say all this other stuff and I don't care. No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't. Because I think the conversion is going to be better if you don't. Because if it makes it sound like, gosh, man, why would I spend they're not, I'm nothing to them, right? You don't want to lose a client base because they think it's too high. And so I would use kind of if you're going to use something like that, I would use the middle of the road. I don't even know if I mentioned the whole $25,000. I just say I normally charge thousands of dollars a day for this. So if I was giving you an hour, that's a significant value. And so then it builds it by itself. But then we'd have documentation because it's a claim. You'd want to make sure to prove that if they asked you.
Yeah. So guys, what I took away from this is if you want something to be worth $42,000, fine. Put things in there that collectively you've sold for $42,000. I mean, put a program that you sold for $4,000, put a program you sold. Now, of course, I know the person's thinking this right now, Greg. So they're like, well, I'll just get 3 of my buddies to buy it for $4,000. That way it has a $4,000 value. I know it. I know it. Greg, I just got off of a podcast. I was being interviewed, and there was a live audience there. It was like 30 people there. And I was just laughing because I felt bad for you. Now, by the way, I can't tell you how many times I had to disclaim on this podcast that I am not an attorney. This is not legal advice. I do not know what the hell I'm talking about. But they were really getting into it, and they're asking all these specific questions. And what I noticed is every time I said something, they're like, well, what if I don't say it like that, but I say it like this, and then I do this? And I'm like, dude, the end purpose of what you're achieving is still the same bullshit. And they see through that. It's not technicalities.
It's like they want to Jones it by a technicality because they know what they're doing. They know the messaging is still a misrepresentation or they're trying to hide it. Instead of being transparent with the client. Instead of being like, hey, how can I still say you make $10,000 a month without saying you make $10,000 a month? So not get in trouble for it.
So I'll give you an example because it was funny because we had just filmed an episode about the testimonials and the four rules you have for testimonials, and I was sharing that with them on this podcast. I said, "Hey, Greg has these 4 rules. So rule number 1 is you have to have clear affidavit, clear signature, clear permission to use the testimonial." And they're like, "Well, that's a lot of work." So one person's like, "What if there was a form that had their first name, last name, and a click that I confirm, blah, blah, blah," and they hit submit?" And I'm like, dude, it's not a signature. Like, I was like, I'm not a lawyer, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure if I had a little Greg on my shoulder right now, he's going to say, get the damn signature. They're like, what if I use DocuSign? I'm like, oh my God, dude, this is exhausting. But I guess that's what you deal with all the time. So, but yeah, guys, for me, I have sold so many programs in my like, because I have time, right? I know not everyone listening has the amount of time I have, but I have genuine courses that I have sold for $1,000. I have courses I've sold for $2,000. I have courses I've sold for $700. And in the near future, I'm going to be rolling out an absolutely insane offer. I am going to put something out that's crazy. But I have, like, for each of those, when I say, hey guys, you're getting my Copywriting Academy course for free when you enroll in this as a bonus, I've probably sold 3,000 people at $700 to establish a $700 value. But I'm not going to say it's worth $5,000. I'm going to say it's worth $700. That's what I sold it at. So unfortunately, if you want to have that big number, then go out and earn it and sell a bunch of people at that price. So you've got similar courses sold at, which please don't gamify that. I feel like marketers could pull that thread in a really bad way too. So please don't gamify that. Make it legit. You've got the ability to give bonuses a generic value through some method of deciphering based off of things. You've got the fact that you've sold it at that price in the past. You've got an authentic discount you can do, right? Which is like, hey, I've sold this for $4,000. I'm doing a 50% discount. Black Friday sales, we've done that. We've killed it with it. Where we take a genuine product we sell for $1,000 and take 50% off and just kill it. What else, Greg? What else have you seen in the value stack world, bonus world that you've had to deal with and that we can kind of counter and help people with?
Well, I mean, it's unfortunate this, but I see a ton of stuff where they make things up. It's seldom, it doesn't happen all the time, but you'll have these really nefarious marketers that go out there and they're offering a product and service, and when they're doing a value stack, they're making things up. They lie. They just flat out lie, and those type of misrepresentations, what that does, it just tarnishes the entire industry. Everybody who's trying to offer some sort of information product or education product, they just go after it. So,
Yeah.
and I can show you examples where when they go into a case and they get into it and they find out that they make a statement that, like, as sold previously on Forbes or on New York, Wall Street Journal or whatever like that, for $3,000. Never sold on those platforms, never sold for $3,000, and then they just go down there. Like, it's unfortunate, but I hate even say it because they're bad actors out there, and they just target the industry for everybody when they do that.
That's true.
Well, I don't do this. I stay away from this. And it's like, well, but if you're making up the number, the reason why the FTC or other regulatory bodies are going to be so critical of that in the bonus stacking is because you do have legitimate people that are lying in their market, and they know it. Because they're going to burn through their client base, they're going to get as many people to buy, and then they're going to move on to the next thing, and they're going to hope that they can do that as long as they can until they get hit.
Yeah. One bad apple ruins the lot.
It does.
So to say. And and then sometimes the better players end up paying the price for it. Idiots out there who are doing it.
Everybody does, right?
Yeah. All right. So everyone, that's value stack bonuses. If you got questions, post them. We'll try to cover them in future episodes. Or, hey, get a copy of the book. We got answers in there for you. Join us in the academy. If there's a review that you want us to do, want us to look at how you're doing your value stacks and give you feedback, you can book a call. Link is below on the YouTube. And with that said, guys, just as a side note, nothing to do with, actually, maybe it does have a lot to do with compliance, because I have a feeling the FTC is going to move into this territory. We are playing around a lot with artificial intelligence, and I'm just letting you guys know that the whole video creation, like, we're playing with HeyGen right now. It's creepy. Like, we're playing with it. I got sent a video of myself by my team, and for a second, I'm like, why are they sending me a video of myself? And it took me about 5 seconds to figure out that it was a HeyGen video of me, and I couldn't tell. So
now
I am really
conference this month on AI. An open
I know they're gonna do this. I feel like they're gonna make you put something on there that says it's not you, it's AI, and then they're gonna kill it. Don't do it.
Yeah,
I want to use this. It's gonna be awesome. But what was cool is HeyGen makes you do a video of the actual person. Like, you have to certify that I am Onyx Singal and I allow HeyGen to make this video of me, blah, 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 blah. So that, like, if I tried to, like, make a video of Greg without his permission, I wouldn't be able to do it, which I want to because it'd be fun. But we will one of these days. Greg, thanks, man. I don't want to hold you back. I know you got a haircut appointment. Important things first. First things first.
Come on now. I'm washing my hair. Let's go.
Yeah, you got to go get it permed. Thank you as always, man. We'll see all of you. Make sure you leave a comment, click subscribe, tell your family members, tell everybody about the funnest topic in the world. Advertising compliance.
The funnest topic, yes.
Funnest topic in the world.
Rainbows,
all right, guys.
Unicorns.
What's that?
Rainbows and unicorns and compliance.
Rainbows and unicorns. Yeah. We're here to deliver the good message of compliance.
Good news.
With that said, everybody, as I always say, when life pushes you, which it will, stand straight, smile, push it the heck back. See you on the next episode. Bye.